Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BandLab Plus Coffee. It's time to wake up, wind up, and cue up with another excellent track. Today, we've got Spiro and David John, Taking Back What's Mine. And it was produced by Salvatore Color. Salvatore Color? Either way, it's a bop. So let's hop on into the track. To the left! Wind up, keep up, wind up, keep up, wind up, keep up, wind up, keep up. Excellent track. Taking Back What's Mine, produced by Salvatore Color, with 748 plays so far. Salvatore Color can be found at Salvatore_Color, SALVATORE_COLOR, reppin' 5.69 thousand followers. Don't forget, this track also includes Spiro, reppin' 957 followers on the lab, and they can be found at SPIIROW, Spiro. So, with 103 likes that include one of our own, let's take a listen. By the way, give me my lyrics, y'all.
Salvatore Colore.
Nice. Salvatore Color.
Love is betrayal, the ultimate vice, a dagger straight to my heart. You were my one and only ride and die till the end, but life tore us apart. We played this game, snakes and ladders, our best disguise, leaving me with your lies. I'll cut these ties, it's the turning of the tide. Take back what's mine, take back.
Really great beat here. Good hi-hat rhythm, lots of change and speed and feel. This really reminds me of some older Evanescence as far as the beat goes. Imaginary comes to mind.
What's on your mind? I'm tired of these yo-yo games. Give you my love and you give me more pain. The strange thing is you ain't feeling the same. But rain on a sunny day can bring rainbows. It also can feel like it's never gonna end. Change is something we should not be estranged to. So explain why.
Love that Oriental feel.
While I'm packing, trying to figure out why did this happen. Literally took my heart, kidnapping, then ripped it apart like some kind of assassin. So now I'm working on how to mend it and patch it and still trying to block
pull the beat out.
It's almost like they predicted I ended. You know what they say, death is new beginnings.
You know what they say, death is new beginnings. That was a great verse.
With a little
Nice.
bit of work, I can build it back. You know, structure important if the building crack. I couldn't let you break me, so cheers to the fact that I'm on a new path, new bag, new everything but you. Boo-hoo in my eyes out, cause I didn't want to lose you. But sometimes to grow the dead weight, gotta say it, so now that we not a night.
Are there strings in the background?
New level, new better than I open my heart. I guess every movie need a fool and I acted a part.
Sounds like we got strings back there holding down the pad.
Wrongs can never be right if I seek and repeat. But it's something exciting seeing the other person crying and feeling the way that you did. But even Steven don't agree with grieving. And to make it easy, no more social media. To get back to normal, it's gonna take time to put the pieces together and take back what's mine. To get back to normal, it's gonna take time to put the pieces together and take back what's mine.
Yeah, we're getting some plucks back there. Maybe even some piano. Ooh, really great reverse swell of the vocal with some panning.
You were my one and only ride and die till the end, but life tore us apart.
Some pitch shifting.
Leaving me with your lies. Take back what's mine, take back what's mine.
Mine. Great track, y'all. What a cool sound. Very oriental as far as the sound goes. I don't know if that was a flute or something to that effect, but that was great, coupled with the hi-hat variation rhythm that gave us a lot of good time effects. It reminded me a lot of, there's this really old Dance Dance Revolution song called Daikin Kai that does that. There's also another one called Cherry Blossom that does kind of that thing, but really well produced track. Salvatore Color, so good. Spiro, your verse was excellent. And the fact that we didn't have to use a bunch of expletives to get our point across, this is what I'm talking about. When you are a rapper, you can determine how good a rapper is by what they can substitute their anger with. Some rappers are just in there calling people names and using expletives and just being sexual for no reason. This right here didn't need that, and yet it still slaps. Okay, so I just want to challenge rappers out there to think a little bit harder about their verses. You can do it. I believe in you. 2 things I love and 1 thing I want more of. Let's go. So the first thing I love in here is all these transitions, whether it's the hi-hats in their variations that create a lot of dynamic, or it's the transition specifically that I'm talking about, which is the trick that we use where right before an artist does a vocal take, let's say the dog ran, right? Well, the broken down to the first syllable is th, and then when we reverse that, and then we add a bunch of reverb, and it sounds like we've panned to a different side, so it ping pongs, we get the dog ran. And it's a natural progression to start a verse or a phrase in a song like this. Let's hear it.
To get back to normal, it's gonna take time to put the pieces together and take back what's mine.
Love is betrayal.
Love is betrayal. And when you use the first syllable of that vocal take, it fits so beautifully with the rest of the phrase. One of the greatest transitions, and I don't see it used as often as I used to. Maybe it's out of style, but to me, that kind of reverse vocal swell transition never goes out of style. So that's the first thing I love. Great job. Second thing I love, I mentioned it briefly, and maybe not so briefly, and I'll say it again. Rappers. Let's go.
Hey, Spyro, what's on your mind? Trying to take it back. I'm tired of these yo-yo games. Give you my love, and you give me more pain. The strange thing is you ain't feeling the same. But rain on a sunny day can bring rainbows. It also can feel like it's never gonna end. Change is something we should not be estranged to. So explain why it hurt like it did. Memories flashing while I'm packing, trying to figure out why did this happen. Literally took my heart, kidnapping, then ripped it apart like some kind of assassin. So now I'm working on how.
That's what I'm talking about, right? We got excellent spitting in this track, and it doesn't have to be explicit. Second thing I love is it's just good rapping. It just is. And it's super varied, one then the other, and the cadence changes, and our idea stays the same, and the whole thing is a cohesive track. So that is the second thing I love. So first of all, great production on this, Salvatore Color, and secondly, great vocals when it comes to that rapping. The one thing I think I want more of is it feels like, I could be wrong, I didn't pull this up on an EQ, but it feels like the track is a little bit crowded with the vocal. The vocal does sit in this track or sit on top of this track, but it feels like the track, if we were to take off the vocal, would be a full track and not need a vocal at all. It almost feels like the track is an instrumental that someone decided to rap on rather than a track designed for someone to rap on, if that makes sense. So while everything sounds phenomenal, excellent, I love all the instruments and everything that's in there, some of the elements in the track get lost because it's a not complicated, that's the wrong word, but it is a very particularly stitched together track with lots of elements. And unfortunately, a lot of those elements get lost over the rapping. I would like to see a lot of those elements removed from the track during the verses, and then maybe put back in during that chorus where we adjust some of that mix. And that way the sound kind of wraps around our rapper rather than our rapper just sitting on top of our track, which is a complex, that's the word I was looking for, not complicated, which is a very complex track. And I love all the elements of, again, I'll mention that. So maybe just take out a couple of those elements that sound so good while the rapping's happening so that we're not, people who listen to music actively aren't trying to focus on that and then missing what's being said, and then just bring them all back in the chorus, something like that. But what an excellent track. What a cool production. What great rapping, taking back what's mine. Everyone needs to jump on over to BandLab and follow Salvatore Color, executive producer. And then, you know, while you're over there, don't forget, you should also follow DJTatious on YouTube, BandLab, or wherever you choose to consume your social media. But in the meantime, despite all that, thank you so much for waking up and drinking coffee with me, and I will see you on the next one.